Visions and messages keep coming out concerning the American election and then what will happen in the year 2025. I know you have listened to most of these visions that people are bringing out. I have a few on my channel that some brothers and sisters have shared. And when it happens like this, most people tend not to believe messages like that because they claim that such messages were given in previous years, which nothing occurred. So what is the absolute proof that whatever message that is coming for the year 2025 will come to pass? Nobody owes you a proof. It is only God that can owe you a proof. Now, if you need any proof on these messages, I think you should know what to do as a Christian. You definitely need to get into prayer and seek discernment from God. Now, the message I'm about to share with you today has to do with a very young child who is, I think, 8 years old. And I was wondering, why would God give such a very young child a message like this? Because based on the information that were shared in the child's vision, it was quite terrible, very terrible. That is why the child had to even scream like she was having a nightmare. I believe God gave this child this message so that people will be able to believe in her, because probably if God has given this message to an older person, we wouldn't have believed in them. However, we still have to get into prayer and pray over this message to seek confirmation of the truth, whether it is coming from a child or not. But I'm just sharing my view that maybe God gave this message to a little child just because people might not believe if it was given to an adult. Whatever the case, you can also share your opinion on this. The year 2025 is going to be a different year, and we have to pray for the coming year 2025. We do not know what exactly is going to happen. Based on what we've heard, there's nothing good about what we are hearing, and there's nothing good about what is coming. So we need to pray. That is, Christians, we need to pray, and we need to send a message out so that people will get to receive salvation before these things start happening. If you do not have salvation and these things begin to happen, you are not going to take it lightly. So let us go out and share the gospel so that our fellow brothers and sisters that are lost will find the light, which is Jesus Christ, and they can also be saved. Now, I'm recording this video on the 24th of September, and this day, our Ghanaian evangelism team is out there as I'm speaking now, having an evangelism crusade to win souls for God. We have prayed for them, and then we are still in prayer that God will still protect and guide them, speak through them, so that the Holy Spirit himself will go out to win souls. It is not we human beings that win souls. It is God himself that wins souls. Wherever you are, I want you to pray for our evangelism team in Ghana. And as we are praying for our evangelism team in Ghana, let us not forget that this coming Saturday, our evangelism team in South Africa are also going to host their evangelism crusade. God has been so good to us that we are still in the process of taking the gospel out to so many countries as we can. Now, it is through your help and it is through your love and support that is why we are able to do this. If you are a lover of God's missions work and you would want to support us with Bibles, gospel tracts, whatever that will aid us to go out there to do the work of God, we would love to welcome it and we'll be very grateful. Just pick up my email address in the description section of the video, and then we'll give you an address where you can ship these Bibles, these gospel tracts to. If you don't have gospel tracts, if you don't have Bibles, and you would want to support us with money, there's a link in the description section of the video where you can pick up to donate whatever that you wish to support us with. This will help us purchase preaching equipment, transportation of our logistics, and then we will be able to fund all our evangelism team in various countries so that they will be able to sufficiently do the work of God. God bless you so much, and then please pray over this message as I'm about to play it out to you. Thank you.
Hi, Joseph. What I am about to share is not mine directly. It's an experience my 8-year-old daughter had concerning the upcoming USA elections and also about the year 2025. I wanted to keep this to myself, but God had made the burden to share so heavy in my heart. That's why, without hesitation, I am sending you this experience. My daughter's experience left me certain it wasn't just an ordinary dream. The things she said and the way she acted, it was as if God Himself chose her to deliver an important message, one that I believe is tied to the coming future. Over the years, I've developed a deep understanding of my daughter. I know how she behaves, what she says, and how she expresses herself, even in her sleep. Her dreams have always been simple and innocent, nothing too unusual for a child at her age. She usually talks about her day at school or the things she plays with, and I can often predict what she might say or dream about. But this recent experience was unlike anything before. When she started talking in her sleep, the words were so unusual and unsettling for a child of her age. It wasn't just the content, it was the urgency and the sad tone in her voice. That's when I realized this wasn't a normal dream. Something about it felt different. It was like a nightmare, almost as if a message was being delivered through her. And deep down, I knew this was from God. It was too powerful and precise to be anything else. Our afternoons follow a pretty routine. When the kids come home from school, the first thing I do is make sure they freshen up. After that, I always have them take a nap for about an hour before we start on homework or any other house chores. It helps them recharge before diving into their assignments. Last Wednesday, when my daughter had returned from school, she is called Betty. She complained of a headache, so I had to clean her up and get medications for her. Afterwards, she laid down on the couch in the living room for her nap. I noticed something unusual about her. She wasn't so active that day, but I thought it was because of the head pain she had complained of. Everything seemed normal at first, but I had no idea that this time would be different. Something unusual was about to happen during her rest. She rested on the couch till evening. Her temperature was high during the night hours. I spoke to my husband about it and he advised me to take her to the doctor the next morning. So I laid my hand on her, prayed for her, and after a while, she was able to close her eyes and sleep, and I continued to pray till I dozed off. At around 1:30 a.m., I suddenly woke up to a loud scream from my daughter. Sincerely, the child screamed so loud, and it was as if someone was after her. At first, it wasn't clear what she was saying, so I thought maybe she was just talking in her sleep. This was so unusual of her. She steamed again, and this time she kept repeating, 2025, they are not ready. 2025, they are not ready. 2025, they are not ready. 2025, 2025. She said it 3 times, like 3 times, louder and more panicked each time. It was unlike anything I've heard from her before. Then I shouted at her, "Betty, wake up." My daughter shut up, looking terrified. Her eyes were wide and she seemed disoriented, like she had just seen something too intense for her little mind to process. It was a fear I'd never seen in her before, especially at just 8 years old. I immediately pulled her close, comforting her the best I could. I held her tightly, reassuring her that whatever she saw in her dream was over and she wasn't alone. While she was resting in my arms, I was quietly praying in my mind and I was gripped with fear. I asked myself, why was this happening to her? Was the sickness getting so severe? Or she had been spiritually possessed by some sort of evil in school? Because at that moment, everything she was doing was so strange and abnormal. Her heart was pumping so fast, and this time I couldn't pray in silence. I rose from the bed, knelt down, and began to pray in tongue. I initially thought she was getting possessed at that witching hour, but I was wrong. Once she calmed down, I asked her what happened. She hesitated at first, but then began to explain. She said she saw a large door, and on the doorpost, it had 2025 written in big letters. She told me that when she walked through the door, it didn't lead to a room like she thought it would. Instead, she found herself in a place that looked like the White House. She saw people gathered there, celebrating a man who had just become president. Officials surrounded him, and everyone seemed happy. But then, as soon as he came into power, everything changed. She said civil war broke out. My daughter categorically didn't mention civil war, but based on how she narrated her dream to me, I understood it to be a civil war. And it wasn't just far away. It spread quickly and caused chaos everywhere. Even at her young age, she could sense the danger and destruction that followed. She told me about the terrible things she saw next. She said there were big explosions and bomb blasts in schools, and she saw some of her schoolmates get caught in them. She described how they didn't get up after the explosions, and it was clear they were dead. She told me that as she walked through the chaos, she saw many school buses littered along the roads, abandoned and empty. Then she spoke of fire, flames burning houses, including our own. From her narration, it felt like our entire street was caught in a blaze. She said she couldn't see her dad and her two siblings. This is Jason, who is her elder brother, and Malvin, who is next to her. She said the fire had destroyed our house and trapped her dad and her two siblings in. She revealed how she noticed people moving about, but they weren't in military uniforms. Instead, they looked like ordinary civilians. They were destroying houses, setting them ablaze, and killing anyone they encountered without hesitation. She told me how she saw her mother being chased. I was on the street preaching, and people were after me. She said they didn't want me to talk about Jesus, and they were trying to hurt me for it. She also saw many other Christians being chased and persecuted, and the whole world seemed to be in chaos. She said she saw the attackers gathering so many Bibles that they had seized from people, and they tried to burn those Bibles, but it was impossible. Every other thing they had tried to destroy got burnt, but they couldn't touch those Bibles. My daughter described seeing a crowd of people holding banners that shouted 2025, "We are not ready." They were marching together, their voices ringing together. She felt drawn to join them, but then chaos erupted again. She told me they were attacked while marching, and even in fear, they kept shouting, 2025, we are not ready. She told me how everywhere was filled with panic. As I ponder on everything my daughter had shared, I couldn't shake the feeling that she has been chosen by God to deliver an important message for the upcoming election in the year 2025. My husband is not a religious type of person, and he doesn't believe in dreams and visions. He just turned away and went to work when I told him about this in the morning. It was so sad to see his reaction. Please pray for my husband to start believing in God before it is too late. After hearing about my daughter's disturbing experience, I felt a heavy weight in my heart. That night, I decided to take it to God in prayer. As I sat in my quiet space, seeking His guidance, I felt the Lord impress upon my heart the significance of the dream. It was as if He was saying that He wouldn't do anything without first revealing to His prophets. In that moment, I understood that this was not just for my family. It was a call for Christians everywhere to rise in prayer against what is looming on the horizon. God was showing us a glimpse of the future, and it felt urgent. I realized that this revelation was meant to unite believers to seek divine intervention. I felt compelled to share this with my fellow believers in church. We must inform one another and encourage everyone to pray for our nation, especially as the upcoming elections approach. We must come together in faith, praying that only the perfect will of God, which is peace, will prevail. Our prayers can make a difference, and I believe that through sincere intercessions, we can help guide our nation toward a future filled with hope and stability.